is the promise video. If you're a subscriber, you will have seen my videos of my trip to the UK and my visits to different galleries and museums. But most importantly for this, my visits to lots of art supply stores in London. And I'm just going to walk you through some of the things that I bought. I wasn't going to check my bag, so I was really careful about how much I bought. Couldn't buy anything too big, couldn't buy anything sharp, like line of cut tools that I was thinking about buying. When I worked it out, they weren't any cheaper there. In fact, they're a bit more expensive, so I thought I'll leave that and just focus on little things that would just remind me of my trip there, like things like, sharpeners and pencils. So I'm going to start with the things chronologically. So I arrived on Tuesday morning, and bright and early. We actually were ahead of schedule for once, and that's always seems to be the way when you don't really care about how quickly you arrive somewhere. So it meant I was on a go from 6 a.m., which was 1 a.m. my time. So I got to my hotel and checked in, and I was in Bloomsbury near the British Museum. And this was fantastic because I could easily get to my cousin's place from there, obviously the British Museum, but there's also some really nice art supply stores. So the first stop was Cornellison. And this is an old shop, and again, I've done a video about it, explaining it, and it's somewhere that I know I've been to years and years ago because I did some work at the British Museum for a couple of years. So I think I had to pop in for supplies or something at some point. It's beautiful. It's got, the old cabinetry, and it's like stepping back in time. So I didn't buy very much there. I just bought little things that remind me of the visit. So there's a double-ended pencil with 2B and 6B. And then I got this. I've never seen these by Faber-Castell. It's a wax marking crayon, and I like doing wax resist, so I thought that would be a nice thing to add to my tools that I had while I was there. And I wasn't sure what I'd be doing in St. Ives, which will be another video, that it might come in handy. I had a Neocolor one in white, which I used for the same sort of thing, but I thought I'd get that. Again, it was a little memento kind of thing. Thing that I did need, because my Caran d'Ache Luminance pencils were getting really stubby, is this pencil extender. You just put the pencil in there to extend it, and that would be a really long reach. And then I also got this brush pen. I love using my Pentel brush pen, but I was leery of running out of ink for it. I filled everything up before my trip, but I wasn't sure how much I would be using it, so I got this kind of backup, and it has very similar brush head on it. I also caught a cold on my last day there, so my throat is still a little raspy, even though it's nearly a month ago. And I also got just a bristle brush again as a memento. And then this little stack of Khadi handmade cotton rag paper with little deckled edges. It was so sweet. I kept going around the store and I kept coming back to that, so I grabbed it. So that was Al Cornelison. Now they have, they bought out a shop called Russell and Chapel, and it's not too far away. I went there, which is also in the video. Their specialty is just things sort of that Al Cornelison doesn't have room for, like canvas. They have so many types of canvas. They do framing and all that. And so I didn't really buy anything there because they had basically what Al Cornelison had for the most part, and then these larger items. So the next place that I went to was in the video. It was this sort of Japanese inspired, almost kind of Scandi, it was a beautiful shop. It's called Present Correct, and I wanted almost everything in there. They had such unusual things. It's mostly a stationery shop, but they did have some things that you could use for art supplies. I didn't buy anything there. Things I really wanted were big and expensive, so I just drooled on things and then left. So that was day one. Day two started with a trip to National Portrait Gallery, which has just undergone a major renovation. And I always go into, I can't help myself, I always go into the art shops at the end. Sort of like exit through the gift shop, Banksy kind of. Sometimes you're forced into that by the way galleries and museums are set up now. But I went in that of my own free will, and I always check out what sort of art supplies. And a lot of times it's, it's not like professional art supplies that are there. It's things mostly for kids. And they had these crayons that were there for kids. These ones are made in Japan, and I just love the packaging and had to get it. And I just love the colors too. Like, look at that. Like, what kid wants this sort of beige color? They're just perfect. And they really layer on top of things nicely. Like, they still really stand out. So I got those and tried those out. And that was a nice little memento from the National Portrait Gallery. And the National Portrait Gallery is near Cass Art. So I went to the one on Charing Cross Road. It's kind of small, and I didn't buy anything there because I knew I was going to, in the same neighborhood, Choosing Keeping. Now, I've been admiring this shop for a long time. You'll see videos of it on YouTube a lot, I'm sure, including my own. So my cousin who I was visiting there, he once bought me a set, well, actually 3 sets of their Gonzai Japanese watercolor. They do decades for like palettes per decade. So there's 1920s, 30s, 40s. I have the 60s, 70s, and 80s sets. And they also do seasonal sets. There's a Marie Antoinette set. So they just have a really good selection of these Gonzai colors. And Choosing Keeping says that the colors are exclusive to them. I'm not sure 100% about that, but I don't think any of these colors I have in my other like Kuretake sets or anything like that. These are made by a company, I think a family-run company, in Japan, so we'll go with that. The one that stood out to me was 1930s colors, and that's these ones. Some would say they look just too muted for them. It's not bright and everything, but I love these sorts of colors, and you'll see when I swatch them out that some of them are a lot more vivid than they look. And the opposite end, I got, again, children's crayons, basically. These are in pastel and fluorescent colors. And I've never heard of this brand before either. They're made in Spain. I think it says Barcelona, yeah. And just really, really lovely little crayons, little wax crayons. And I thought doing urban sketching, I thought maybe these fluorescent colors might come in handy. I didn't use them, but I can use them when I'm at home. So those I'll swatch out later. And then in the same, like almost basically down the street, is the London Graphic Center. And this place is a lot bigger. It's on, I think it's 2 floors. And it's near Covent Garden as well. And I spent, I think, most of my money there probably. I got the little pencil sharpener because I was kind of mad at the one that I bought. Certain pencils work in it and some don't. I feel like you almost have to have about 3 different pencil sharpeners for all the different types of pencils. The barrels, you know, sometimes fit in one but not in another. So I grabbed another one. I also saw these clips that are made in Japan, I think. Made in China, but I think it's a Japanese company. Saw these at Present Correct, I believe. I think they had metal ones. But I waited and got these, which was a little bit cheaper. They also had things broken into brands. So they had Faber-Castell set up. And I love using highlighter pens when you want to do like quick sketches. I think they're just so much fun, and I like the transparency of them, layering them. They're just really neat to have, and I love these colors. I thought they would come in handy. And I brought other ones with me. Sorry, important call came in, so that little interruption there. They also had set up for Caran d'Ache. I've never seen these Fibrello this size before, and I love the color. So I couldn't help getting one of those. What I use it for, I don't know, but it was fun. Then they had the new Neo Arts pastels, which are a blend of wax and oil. And I've seen reviews about them, and I wasn't, just another thing to spend a lot of money on. And I wasn't that keen on them, but I picked up some colors that I really liked and thought I would test them out. And sure enough, I do really like them. And I do see like a subtle difference between their Neo Color wax crayons and their oil pastels. So there's just slightly something different about them, but I'll swatch them out. So I put those in a little tin. And then I love Daler Rowney's paper, and we can't get this here. It's the fine grain drawing paper. Now, you wouldn't want to do anything wet on it, but it is so nice for drawing. So I got a little pad of that because, again, I wasn't sure about my course in St. Ives, what I'd be doing. But I thought I would get that. And I think that is it. Oh, plus I bought the bag, a tote bag from London Graphic. I was running out of bag space, so I didn't want to buy like yet another tote bag, even though I saw some really nice ones. But I was running out of space in my bag that day, so thought I would do something practical and get that. So that was the London Graphic Center. And then the next place that I went to was Jackson's. Yes, Jackson's has a bricks and mortar. They have 2 locations actually in London. The one I went to was in Hackney because it's close to, or not too far away from my aunt's place. And I was going to see my aunt and my cousin there. So didn't really get much. I love their watercolor block paper, and it costs a lot now, a lot more than it used to. Still cheaper than our postage in even in the city. But I thought I would just get one of these. This is one that I've already been using. The other one's still shrink wrapped, so really nice texture to their cold press. I also like the hot press version, so that was nice to get. And then I got these this silicone shaper. Sometimes these are used for pottery, but I like to use them with oil pastel. And I like getting like different sort of tips to them. So again, that was more of a memento of my trip to Jackson's. And then not too far away from my aunt's place is Cass Art. Again, this is a chain store, and I think this might be their biggest one in London. I'm not sure. I didn't go to all of them. I was at the one on High Street, Kensington, which is about the same size as the Charing Cross Road one. But this one was really great. It's 2 floors and big floors in them. I got this little stamp pad for my Wednesday sketching group that we meet up. I made a stamp for the group. We've now moved to Fridays, but I won't be doing a new stamp. Everyone agreed that it was fine to still be called that. So I got that stamp pad. They have their own branding. So sometimes the things are a little bit cheaper. So they'll have blocks and sketch pads. And this is one that's sort of like, I'm just gonna have to rip this. Sort of like the patty paper ones. In fact, it is made there. So it's recycled cotton rag, and it's kind of nice little sketchbook. And I thought I might use it while I was there because I wasn't sure how long my sketchbooks would last. I was doing a lot of sketches, and I will have a sketchbook tour for London and for St. Ives at some point. And then they had, I've already done that one. Then they had more of these Kit Pass crayons, so I bought another box of them. Oh, that was the one from National Portrait Gallery. This one's the one from Cass. So it's sort of lighter version of this one. So it's kind of like the pastel version of this. Really fun to use and great for layering. But of course, you can't, it's kind of the last thing to be put on something because you can't go over it. So that was Cass and Jackson Day. and there's a video for that. And then the last day that I had back up. Before I went to St. Ives, I went to a bookbinding specialist. I went to the wrong location first because they have an office or premises that you can go in and get restoration done. And so I went to that one first and then went to the shop. And I didn't buy too much because it was so overwhelming. Like, I would have loved everything. They had huge sheets of paper, which I couldn't have brought back. Well, I could have, but it would have been a pain. So I got these they have little scraps from their papers that I thought might be nice as collaged into my sketchbooks, which I didn't end up doing either while I was there, but they may come in to their own with another sketchbook that I have here. One thing I did need was I was out of thread, and I like a little bit wax thread. This one's made in France. A cute little box. And it can poke up through the box, the thread, so it doesn't get all dirty or twisted around. So I also bought wax to run the thread through. I don't know why. I just liked I liked this little block of beeswax. And then I also bought this glue stick, and it has an almond fragrance, it says. Oh, it does. Too bad you don't have smell-o-vision. It's like pure almond in it. I thought it might be a little bit more, archival compared to like the Yoo-Hoo glue sticks that I have. So that was it from Shepherd's. But like I said, you could go mad if I did hard bookbinding. I probably would never have left. They have catalogs and catalogs of just cloth that can be put on hardbacks for making your own books, as well as every sort of, end papers and all sorts of things that were just incredible. I was there mostly for the tools. Again, didn't buy anything that could get me stopped at security. So no punches or anything like that. I have alls. And I make my own sketchbooks, which, if you subscribe, you probably have seen my video on that. But I will pop it up just in case. So that was Shepherd's. And from there I went to Tate Britain because it wasn't too far. I think it was about a 20-minute walk. So that was it until I came back from St. Ives. And I went on the Sunday to, I kind of just tripped across it. It was Fabriano's. They have different shops. I don't know if you're familiar with the Italian. They do mostly paper, but they do other things as well. And I was on Marylebone High Street and just happened to notice it. I was going to Daunt Books. That's why I was there, because beautiful bookstore. It has this incredible skylight in the middle of the bookstore. And so I went there, and then I went back to Fabriano because they didn't open till later. And it was, they had some paper. Their main focus in these shops are more stationery, sort of high-end stationery. So I didn't buy anything from there, but they had a really nice watercolor set that came in a sewn bag that you kind of unroll to do urban sketching or plein air. So that was really nice, but I did not need it. Then I went to a place that I'd forgotten was on my list of shops. I did forget to go to Green and Stone. The day that I was at the V&A, I could have gone to. It was not too far away. Don't know why I totally missed that one, but next time. But Stuart Stevenson was fantastic. Do I mean Stuart Stevenson? Yes, I do. That was the name of the shop. They're in Clerkenwell, near where my other cousin used to live. They just had some unique stuff that I didn't see elsewhere. They had Tom Studio pens, and they had this by Lillian May, different little watercolor sets. And I just couldn't help but get this. It was a bit of a treat, not something that I needed, but I just loved the Turner paintings. I've seen them before at Tate Britain, but just to be in that room with them is incredible. And I loved the colors that he used, which is a pretty simple palette. So I haven't used these yet, but I will swatch them out. A nice little area for rubbing your brush across, mixing. Really, really nice. So that's that. And then I need gloves anyways. So again, this was a kind of memento purchase, and it was only £2. I also got, because I thought I was running out of paper, and I was going to the zoo to meet my cousin who volunteers there, and I wasn't sure if I would have enough left in my sketchbook. So I grabbed this. I did. But anyways, I like Bockingford paper. And then I love these Derwent drawing pencils, and they're kind of difficult to find here open stock. So especially these colors. Above Ground has some, but they're done in a sort of, they only get in what you would need for sort of classical drawings. So there's blacks, there's a sanguine or burnt sienna type of color, white, but they don't have these colors, which are just gorgeous. And I'll swatch these out anyways, but you would have seen them in past videos. And then I also got some more of these silicone tools because they're a good price. These can be really expensive here, so it's nice to get those. And then to add to my highlighter collection, I also got another Stabilo Boss highlighter in this gray color. So that's about it. We should get to swatching. So I'm just going to swatch out on this Canton Montval watercolor paper. It's kind of cheap paper, but just doing little swatches. I thought I better use watercolor paper because there's a little bit of watercolor, and it's better than switching halfway through. I think I'll start with the crayons to begin with. So this is a pack from Cass. These are the Kit Pass ones. They're just so smooth and you can smudge them. Kind of different colors. I haven't really compared them to the Neo colors that I have. They do seem a little bit different. In feeling and in color. I don't think there's even a color like that in the Neo colors. I always love having color like that for urban sketching. So that'd be really nice to add texture. And so these are the darker versions. sort of the above. Yes, this isn't. This is such a nice green. This is a more yellow version of that. That's the Kit Pass. I just love these little boxes. Really, really cute. And then these are the Manly. And these are super, super bright. They're not as like smooth and tacky as the Kit Pass ones. They don't blend as easily, but then they are meant for children. I believe the Kit Pass ones are made from rice. And so it gives it just a little bit different texture. So there's 10 colors in this pack. So that's the Manly fluorescent and pastel colors. Let's move on to the highlighters. This is Faber-Castell, and this is number 46. I don't know if it doesn't have a color written on it. I guess they're all classes 46, so it's not a color number. But I just like that a little bit closer. Just love that color. It's a nice subdued color that you can use for urban sketching. I'm just going over it to darken it. And I always love getting greens. That seemed like a nice spring green. It was spring there. It's not spring right now here. I just saw some snow. And then, so the Stabilo Boss one that I got when I was at Stevenson's, it's a gray, but it's got like a little bit of hint of purple to it. So those are the highlighters I got. And this is that big, chunky Caran d'Ache marker. Again, it's not something I would normally use, but it's kind of fun to have. And then I'll leave this here for later, just to show the resist. And there's the brush pen, the Pigma by BB by Sakura. So it's very like the Pentel one that I have. See them together. You might know this one. Just got a little bit thicker brush to it. So that's the Pentel one. This is the Sakura one. So it's kind of nice to have both in your kit. So that would go back into my pen case. And so I've had these before, the Derwent drawing. This is the warm gray, which is basically like almost that same color. Then there's the Mars Violet. Olive Earth. And then Green Shadow. These drawing pencils are fantastic for layering because they really pop on top of other media, whereas some colored pencils can get a little bit lost. I find that these don't, and they really layer nicely on and cover really well without having to really push down on it. This is kind of pushing down on it, and you can see how well that covers. And this is cold pressed paper, so there's a little bit of a texture to it. But they're just brilliant. I love these pencils. Now I'm going to be teasing these Neo arts because I'm not going to swatch them in this video because I ordered some new ones from Jackson's. They didn't have them at the Jackson's shop that I went to. They only had them at the CAST London Graphic Center. I think they did have them at CAST as well, but only in the sets. I didn't want to buy a whole set because they're not cheap. So I ordered a few more once I got home, and I'll swatch those out in a separate video. So I'll keep you coming back. It's not for that reason. I just think this is going to be really long. And so this is the stamp that we use. Just going to put that here. And so that's the color of that one. I don't know if it has a proper, it's called Twilight. I think I've seen these here, but I'm not sure. And so on to the watercolors. I'm just going to give these a bit of a spritz, seeing as I'll be using all the colors. And I get my rag ready. And choose a nice brush. Yeah, mop brush. How should we do this? A little bit too much water in that. Probably shouldn't have gone with the mop brush. Dab that off. So this is almost like a turquoise green. Not my hated Viridian green. It's got a little bit more something going on. Oops. So I've not just added too much water, also is off screen. I'll go back over this purple so that you get a sense This is gorgeous color. I love this buttery looking yellow. And then good old brown. I know these aren't like the, in your face colors that some people might want, but I love them. I love this palette. If you go through my archives of videos, you'll probably see the other palettes that I got from Choosing Keeping. So that's the 1930s palette, and I haven't filled that in yet, but I will. I keep them at my studio all in a tray in an old printer's cabinet, so I'm going to have to somehow mix those in at some point. And then lastly is the little gift to me, Turner's Skies. And so I think this is like a vermilion, which it is. And an ultramarine blue, I think. Could be cobalt. I think it's ultramarine. Burnt sienna, I think. Ooh. Nice Prussian blue. Ochre. I don't know if this is like a potter's pink. It's quite different. Or a red lake, maybe. It's kind of like a potter's pink in that it's a little bit difficult to get a really deep intensity for the solid color. But that's nice, sweet little memento of the trip, and that was on my last day too, so it was kind of nice to get. So that's my art supply haul from my UK trip, and there's a couple other things that I want to show you as well that aren't art supplies but are art related. So my other art purchases were 2 artworks. This one came as a gift card. I think it's by Joe Davy. I'll have to look up the names from the St. Ives Society of Artists, because that's where I got it. They have, it's like an old church that's been done into a gallery. So I went to their spring show and got this. It was only £5 for this, because it's meant as a gift card. I just thought it was really lovely and a nice reminder of the trip. And then I also got this one, and I'll have to pop up on the screen the name of the artist. It was mounted onto card with a signature underneath. It's signed on the back, but I'll have to look up the name because it wasn't really easy to tell. I wish they would put like little write-ups about the artists, because I always love seeing that. So those are the two art-related purchases. This one was a little bit more expensive. And I also got an apron while I was at the St. Ives School of Painting, because I thought, again, that was a really nice way to remember the trip. And so that's at my studio, and that's what I wear when I'm making a load of mess. Or it should be wearing, because sometimes I forget to put an apron on. So that's it. That was my trip in an art supply haul nutshell. So thanks so much. I'll be posting videos up as cards, but also underneath that I mentioned in this video itself. All right, thanks so much. Remember to subscribe to see more videos like the ones on the Neo Art pastels, and also the coming St. Ives video. And on my website you'll find the names of the shops that I've mentioned here. I have a whole page dedicated to art supply stores in my city and elsewhere. So you find that there, and other interesting things that you might find helpful, like art book reviews. There's my own watercolor that I sell, and on and on. All right, thanks so much. Bye.